of social media. Can you keep up?
Streaming the world over, voiceamerica.com.
Welcome to the business show that will change the way you look at your business practice, your organization, and yourself. This is Let's Get Radical with Jody Padar. On today's show, you'll get the straight scoop on what it means to be radical and how it can help you become the next success story. Now, here's your host, Jody Padar.
Welcome back. I'm Jody Padar, and you're listening to Let's Get Radical, and we are live at the AICPA Engage event in Vegas, and we are at the MGM Grand, and it's just an awesome conference so far. So I have two guests with me on this segment. I have Bob, who's going to introduce himself, and he's going to tell us all about his financial planning firm. And I also have Ryan George, who's back, and he's going to talk as well with us. But Bob, what'd you do in Vegas last night?
In Vegas last night, we went to the Bellagio. We had a lovely meal. We saw the fountains, just hanging out with some friends that are here from the conference.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your firm.
Sure. Our firm's located outside of Chicago, actually not too far from yours, Jody. We know each other. It started out back when I was in my early 30s, bought out a retiring practitioner, had a traditional firm doing accounting and auditing and financial tax work. And then over the years, now it's going to be my 30th anniversary next year of ownership, and we've transitioned over the years to more what we view as value-added services for our clients. It started out with bookkeeping, controllership type functions, did a lot more with tax planning services as a separate function, separate from compliance, and we've added wealth management in our affiliation with First Global over the last 10 or 12 years.
And when did you add wealth management? About 10 years ago?
I was licensed in December 2006, hooked up with First Global as our broker-dealer. I keep pointing at David Knock over here. He's taking pictures of me.
The paparazzi.
And we actually gathered our first assets from a client in 2007, the day the S&P 500 hit its high, right before the dramatic decline of 2008 and 2009.
Wow.
So that was probably, Ryan, is there a worse time to get involved in the wealth management business than at the very peak?
Probably not.
Probably not.
But yeah. I imagine there are quite a few clients that were in search of a new financial advisor at some point over the next 18 months or so.
It was a scary time to get involved in wealth management, especially since we're CPAs, and so We're still kind of learning this. We got involved because we thought that we could do a better job than what we saw our clients were getting from the advisors that they were working with. So about at that time, we got involved in wealth management. We just kind of muddled through, I guess, a little bit, and kind of was feeling our way and how to provide this value for our clients. And then it's really been about the last 5 years that we've been actively involved in the wealth management services.
So, Bob, on that note, you said you thought that you could do a better job of providing service to your clients. How did your clients respond to that when you introduced the new services to them?
It was a slow process because they viewed us as CPAs, not necessarily as financial advisors. But they really liked the aspect of having their tax accountant who understood their tax life working with them on their financial life, so they could get a more holistic approach instead of having separate advisors for these different areas. That was really when I got into financial advisory services. That was the driving force. I kept seeing my clients that were getting lousy advice, right? We do tax work. We get all this information. We learn so much about who they are and what they have. And I might recommend to a client, I say, boy, your asset allocation, you're really heavy in large cap, or you really could use some tax-exempt bonds. And go talk to your guy. And they would come back and they'd have an annuity or some other thing that was just really not what they had, what they really needed from my viewpoint. So after doing that a few times, you say, you know what, they're not getting what they need. I can do a better job than that. And that kind of launched us off into wealth management.
Sure.
So how did your firm adjust to this new change?
It was, initially my firm size, we're small. There's 8 of us in our firm. We have about 300 tax returns that we do, about 100 businesses that we work with. So at the start, it was just me. I was licensed. I am licensed. And it was just me kind of adding this slowly to the other work that I do. and over the last dozen years have been working myself out of the accounting and tax side of the business and over into the financial advisory side of the business, just because I see so much more value for our clients and what we're able to bring them when they sit around the conference table and tell you just, Bob, this is great. I never had this kind of assistance from anybody else, and nobody ever talked to me about this stuff before. So that's been the kind of the evolutionary cycle. It started out just me. We communicated with our clients, send out materials at tax time, and then usually they would come back and they'd say, Bob, are you involved in this? Well, I've sent out all this material. What do you mean, am I doing this? Yes, I am doing this. Thanks for reading all the emails and the brochures I'm sending out to you. But so it was a slow process. It was pretty much as we identified situations, reaching out to them, doing a tax return or seeing a problem they had, and then saying, hey, would you be interested in talking about this? So that's really kind of how we gained traction.
And what do you think contributed to your success?
We have had phenomenal success over the last 4 or 5 years. The firm has grown like 400%.
Wow.
Our wealth management, assets under management. The big change, I didn't realize when I got into this, the educational
requirement,
the work that I would have to do, right? I always knew about investments. Being in this business, you probably play around with it or understand parts of it. So I can do this, and I've got the help of First Global to guide me through this stuff. But really understanding how to provide value for a holistic financial planning approach for a client took a lot of work. It took a lot of time. The big change for us came about 5 years ago. I realized that I needed more help, that I needed to get more education. I knew First Global had resources. We hooked up with some what they call win team groups in the First Global world, a group of like-minded practitioners that we could all sit around with every month and share our challenges and our successes. And through that process, it was an amazing education for me. It was kind of like getting my MBA in how to be a financial advisor, except I spent money flying to Charlotte and buying hotel rooms there and flying back to Chicago.
So Bob is actually a case study of people. A lot of times when people hear education, they'll come and they'll learn, but then they go back to the firms, they don't actually put those ideas into action. I think Bob definitely shows up with a plan of taking what he's going to learn and then going and taking it directly back into his firm and figure out ways he can integrate it. And I think that definitely helps make the education more actionable and has definitely helped return some of the ROI on the time spent in flying to Charlotte and getting into those educational sessions. And
so have you done any proactive marketing now to grow 400%?
Yeah, you would think there's some kind of campaign that we launched. That's not really the case.
As a marketing guy, there is no campaign. Don't put that out there.
I'm sorry, Ryan. Didn't mean to step on your shoes there. No, it really was boiled down to us gaining the confidence to know that we can do this and we can help you. And when you sit across the table from a client, for instance, delivering a tax return, and you're meeting with them and you say, you know what, you've got a problem. You really need some help that you're not getting from your guy. Would you like to talk to me about it? And that was our marketing campaign. That was how we generated a lot of this growth. Some of it's always being in the right place at the right time. The market's been going up, so that's always nice. But it's really just understanding what we can do and how we can provide value, and then sharing that with a client. And in the early days, you don't really know what you're doing. You're fumbling through, and like in any aspect of any profession, the client can tell. Okay, great, Bob, but I'll go back to my guy. But as we developed this education and this confidence, that really led to a lot of our clients saying, this sounds like something that we need to get.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good. So because it's all referral based then, right? So it's just and within your firm, right? So you started with your tax clients, and then what percentage of your clients would you say came from existing tax work or came from outside now that you've done stuff that's not?
Right. It's probably 90% of our wealth management clients were initially business or tax clients to start with. Very little has come from the outside. We're still tapping that database, if you will, and still going through all those clients that we do other work for.
So basically, you created a second revenue stream from your existing client base.
From the existing revenue stream. Yeah. Right. We only have the only clients that we have that aren't or weren't first tax or business clients is from referrals from other clients saying, hey, you got to go see Bob and the team. And that's really the marketing plan. It's just communicating with our clients, getting that education, understanding what our model is and how we can provide value. Because when you get into this, I didn't realize when I started with First Global and got into financial advisory services, I thought this is the way to do it. They're going to show me the way to do it, and this is the way it's going to be, right? And what I came to learn was that for every firm at First Global, everyone has a different model, and everybody does it differently. And you have to figure out what works for you, and how you can present this to the client, and what model are you going to use to get them what they need to make it better than what they're getting already. So yeah, our marketing campaign is talking to our existing clients, and every tax season, we identify new opportunities.
Wow.
That we're still working to grow. We're a small firm, so now we're going through those growing pains. I have a wealth management assistant, Jamie, which she started about 5 years ago. She would probably say that's why we grew so much, because that's when
key driver.
Yes, exactly. That's when she became our wealth management assistant at that time, and now we're trying to add more hands to the wealth management services, so that because it's growing so much that we really need more.
And if you were to start over, what would you do differently?
Boy,
not start at the top of the S&P 500. Probably would be one step.
Yes, that would probably be one step. It's such a different delivery model from accounting and tax work, and understanding that there's a lot more listening that goes on in a client meeting than, we're CPAs, we're professionals, we know all the answers. So a client comes in with a problem, and here's the answer. Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't work that way in wealth management services. You really need to understand who these people are, what they want, what their issues are, what their concerns are, what their goals are. And a lot of that is asking the right questions and listening. If I knew everything, I'd like to know everything that I know today back when I started.
Right.
But I guess that's one of the big things, is that this is a very different aspect from accounting and tax. It's not, accounting and tax we're accustomed to. I spend an hour, I get paid for an hour.
Right.
And this is not like that.
So it's been great having you here. We're still in Vegas, and you're still here for another day, right?
Yes.
So what's exciting? So what are you doing tonight?
What's exciting tonight? Well, at 3:00, there's a $3,000 no-limit six-max tournament over at the Rio, part of the World Series of Poker. So if I can skip out on a couple of these sessions this afternoon, I'd love to go play that.
Oh, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. So thank you for being on Let's Get Radical, and stay tuned for more interviews.